Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to this week's Golden Wind Geekout. I'm your host, Danny, got my drug dealer, Ryan, with me.
Hello!
And we are here to talk about episode 4, Joining the Gang. And yeah, Ryan, you pretty much called it,
Yeah, just like what I said, just like what I thought, I think it was for the last, two Geekouts, or just the last Geekout. Yeah, it's pretty much how I thought it was gonna play out. So, this episode, Joining the Gang, essentially, we picked up right where we left off with the introduction of Black Sabbath, this episode was covering, the entirety of the Black Sabbath fight because of how short it is. We saw the ending of Pulpo, and then we got a brief glimpse of our saucy Italian boys before we got the to be continued meme.
Right. Yeah, because that was where I was like, because initially I thought, okay, we're going to be seeing these guys in episode 5, but considering how quickly they went through Black Sabbath, that's where I was thinking, okay, they'll probably do the introduction at the end of this episode. And nope, that's not what they're doing. So next week, for realsies, is when we're meeting the rest of the boys.
Yeah, exactly. We got a good glimpse of the Italian boys, in the official anime. Don't get us wrong, but we won't actually hear their beautiful voices until next episode.
Alrighty. But in the meantime, let's actually talk about this episode. Now, this is pretty cool shit with the Black Sabbath fight, I would think. Well, first and foremost, its official dubbed name. So I initially thought I was betting on Dark Sabbath. Ryan was betting on Black Shadow. And it turns out they're going with Shadow Sabbath. So it's like we were both wrong.
It's funny because it's like if David Production was essentially like, okay, alright, look, Danny, Ryan, we like the names, it's pretty tough, but he's too far-fetched. Let's combine the two. You're thinking Dark... It's like, you're thinking Dark Sabbath, you thinking of Black Shadow. Let's just call it, Shadow Sabbath. There we go.
Right. But...
Which is actually... I'm sorry to interrupt. Which is really bizarre, because... It's like, I thought they would, take out the... Okay, it could be just me, just basing this off of, how they've censored, potential copywritten names in past JoJo parts. I thought they were gonna pretty much take out the entire the entire word Sabbath altogether, just so that they could really be on the safe side when it comes to getting hit with copyright. But no, lo and behold, no, they kept the word Sabbath in his name, and sorry, go ahead.
Well,
go ahead.
that's as long as they're able to change just one of those words, that's enough grounds to avoid the copyright. So, that's just pretty much what it was.
Right, but and it's like, I will say this though, even though I made the prediction that they would dub Black Sabbath's non-copyrighted name to Shadow Sabbath, honestly, when I was saying it would essentially be, Black Shadow or something, when you really think about it, if you're familiar with, a certain other animes, you would think it would be okay, they're ripping off of the main villain in the, F-Zero anime, cause the main bad guy was Black Shadow, so it's like, yeah, what the hell, David Productions, why are you ripping off this other, villain name?
Okay. But anyway, so, what you call it? Now that we got that out of the way. So the fight itself, one of the cool things I thought that they were doing with the fight was, and this is, again, something that, I guess maybe that, this is definitely liberty on David Productions' end, because this was not the case in the manga. It really looked like they were giving him a watery effect. Because not only could you see, Black Sabbath, whenever he's walking, you can actually see, ripples, from where he's actually stepping. But even, some of the instances where he's actually, coming out of the shadows to attack, I mean, it literally looks like he's made of water.
Yeah.
That was a really cool effect. I honestly would never have thought of that. I would have figured they were just gonna do like, like in the manga where he's just like this, like amorphous, like shape shifting out of the shadow. But no, they actually give him a watery effect.
Yeah, really. It's like when he's like entering into the shadows, when he's coming out of the shadows, and when he's when he's like moving around in the shadows. Yeah, I do agree. It's like the fact that they gave it like a watery effect. It not only really suits the stand itself, but it really amplified like the more intimidating factor with this stand. I mean, we already got the intimidating look from this stand just by looking at him, but when he's like interacting with like the dark, shadowy environment that he's working with, it's like it really intensifies the more intimidating look with this stand. I even pointed out like when we were initially watching the episode, as like it was really cool how we see like as he's moving around in the shadows, it's like he's basically Shadow Jesus. He is walking on these shadows as if he was walking on water, and it's like, okay, that was fucking cool.
Yeah, but it's like as for the fight itself, pretty much exactly how it happens in the manga. Like I said, it was a very short fight, so it was like, yeah, Giorno has his little scuffle with Black Sabbath. Koichi shows up and is like, okay, what the fuck's going on? Because he's like, dude, I saw you talking to the old man. I saw the lighter get lit up. And then that, of course, was more than enough grounds for Black Sabbath to start targeting Koichi. And then they're like, okay, now they got to pretty much team up. And, pretty much everything from this fight is practically exactly like how it happened in the manga. Now, where there are differences between the manga and the anime, not so much during the fight, so much as after the fight.
Yeah, so pretty much.
So in the manga, what happens is after they defeat Black Sabbath, Koichi makes his little speech talking about how, when he looks at Giorno, he sees the same spirit, like, of justice and virtue that he saw through Joseph, Jotaro, and Josuke. And he's like, yep, Giorno's a Joestar through and through. And then that's it. That is literally all we see of Koichi afterwards. He just kind of disappears from the story afterwards. Apparently David Production decided to close that little gap. So basically after the fight, we get a brief little scene where Koichi actually calls Jotaro again. So it's like, okay, that's also different. Because in the manga, during the initial call, where Koichi called and said, okay, I found him. He's a stand user. His name is Giorno Giovanna now. And that's when Jotaro tells him that he's actually Dio's kid. That's pretty much the only time in the manga that Jotaro shows up. He's like right at the very beginning of the story, and then that's it. Jotaro's gone throughout the rest of the story. So that was actually pretty cool to see Jotaro again. But it was really cool the way they handled this because, Koichi calls Jotaro and says, all right, I've got more information, but I'm not going to tell you it over the phone. I'm going to tell you in person. So, alright, now we know why Koichi is no longer in the story at this point. It's, he's gonna go back to Morio, he's gonna tell Jotaro everything that happened, everything that he saw, he's probably gonna vouch for Giorno, saying that, yep, this guy is no longer a threat, and, there we go. That's why Koichi is no longer in Vento Oreo. It's a lot better than him just kind of fucking off,
Yeah, exactly, because it's like, okay, I want to point this out, because it's like, I'm fairly certain I said, like, I believe in the last, Golden Wind Geekout, where it's like, I was like, throughout what we've seen thus far in the series, it's like, it's like, Danny has been noticing a lot of, like, newly added scenes that they've added, like, just exclusively for the anime, as opposed to the original manga. I did not notice that until Danny brought it up.
Yeah,
But this, but
again,
but
that's
in,
because I'm fucking. It's because I'm fucking obsessed with Bento Oreo, and I've read this manga. I don't even know how many times.
yeah, you're welcome. Anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, but it's
I
like
need my fix.
I will say this though. It's like I do remember it's like okay, it could very well be because it's like okay, this is probably one of the more obvious pointers like that happens, you know, or in this case doesn't really happen in the manga. It's like we don't really see like this sort of scene like in the manga. It's like yeah, as Danny pretty much explained, it's like after the fight with Black Sabbath, it's like for no apparent reason, no explanation, Koichi just fucks off and we never see him again until this scene. So I will say this. This is the first time I've ever noticed like, oh, hold up. This is an exclusive scene that they have added just for the anime alone. You don't see this in the manga. This is exclusive. So this is the first instance where I have seen this happen. Like this is the first time I have seen exclusive content in the anime that you know they done for the anime but not for the manga.
Well, I mean, that's like, they've been adding things all throughout and everything. It was just last week, you know, it was very sparse. It was, you know, exactly like the manga last week. But the previous 2 episodes, they've been adding things. So that's where it's like, yeah, this isn't the first time that they've added something. You know, they've actually been adding a fair amount.
Oh no! It's like I'm not like forgetting. I'm not like subjecting the fact that they have been adding content like in the anime like way before episode 4. I'm just saying it's like unlike you who have noticed a lot of this like new content they've been adding into the anime like ever since the first episode. I have not been noticing this new content like hardly like at all. I just was thinking.
This is the first one you actually remembered that this did not happen.
Yeah, exactly. I remembered being like, okay, after this fight, then it's like, okay, that's it. Well, bye, Koichi. No reason why he's not in the story anymore. Why he decided to fuck off anyway. He just vanished for no reason.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, exactly. This is the first time I'm seeing like, oh shit. So David Productions is actually adding some exclusive content just to fill in this little plot hole here. Okay, it's like, it's not something incredibly major, but to me, that's a very nice attention to detail. I will give David Productions that.
Yeah. So it's like, so not only that, so now we move into, what's called when Giorno confronts Pulpo again. Now, this whole thing, they handled this differently in the anime as well. You know, I mean, the events happen, but okay, let me explain. So in the manga, after the Black Sabbath fight, we see that Giorno goes back to Pulpo the next day, you know, as promised. So he brings the lighter out, and you know, Pulpo gives him the badge, says, "All right, you're in Passione now. You're gonna be working under Bucciolati." And, you know, that's where Giorno does the whole thing about, you know, transforming one of Pulpo's guns into a banana. He steps out of prison. And then as soon as Giorno steps outside of the prison is when Pulpo goes to eat the banana, but it transforms into the gun and he ends up pulling the trigger on himself. And that's when Giorno does the whole bit about, you know, yeah, this is your last meal. Take your time. Enjoy it. That happened as soon as he steps out of the prison because the manga makes a note of the time of death that with Pulpo. It specifically said in the manga that it happened roughly around the time that Giorno had met up with him a second time. I don't know why they decided to change this, or maybe they're fucking around with like flashbacks or whatever. But it seems like, you know, okay, so we see the next day and, you know, the whole prison scenario happens. But then it looks like, okay, we're going to the next day after that. And that's when Giorno goes up to, you know, Bruno and he shows him the badge, says, okay, I'm in and I'm working under you. So then Bruno's like, all right, let me go introduce you to the team. I don't know if this is to imply that, you know, Pulpo's suicide technically happened the following day, or maybe this was a flashback or something, because when you see Giorno walking down the streets with Bruno, that's when Giorno starts having the dialogue in his head saying, oh, you said that, murder is permissible. Well, all right then. This is for the old man that you killed. So it's like, I don't know whether to take that as maybe this is a flashback or something. And, it's already happened. So, like, okay, it's the next day. Popo's been dead for 24 hours. So now we're just moving forward. Or did they literally move the suicide ahead another day? I'd have to rewatch that episode again and actually see. But that's where I kind of got confused a little bit. So it's like, why are we playing around with that? I mean, it doesn't really make a difference in the story either way. But it is just one of those things, like, if you're moving Popo's suicide to another day, it's like, why bother? Why bother with that change if it's not going to lead to anything significant? So, again, I don't know. Maybe I'm just reinterpreting this weird, but I think I gotta, like, rewatch the episode and, see if I can, like, pick up on that. I mean, Ryan, what do you think?
Well, oh, excuse me. Well, I mean, it's like, okay, I mean, I think, like, from my perspective, I think it's safe to say the way that they handled Polpo's suicide, they played it off, like, as if it was a flashback. Because it's like, I remembered, what was it? So, like, what was it? After Giorno turns in the ignited lighter to Polpo, and then leaves. It's like Polpo was on the verge of, like, chowing down on more food, like having more wine and all that stuff, for celebration reasons. And then it's like, yeah, we get into the scene where it's like, it transitions, like, okay, the next day, and then we get that inner monologue from Giorno where it's like, okay, you've had your last meal, and then it cuts to Polpo. It's like, I can understand why some people would speculate that it's like, okay, oh no, everything that's happening to Polpo, as Giorno's saying that's in his mind, is present day, because of how they edit it. But it's like, when you really get down to it, it's like, if that was the case, it's kind of like if David Production was saying, okay, no, clearly it's taken freaking Polpo like 24 hours to reach into the fridge or wherever and grab another banana. So that's why I'm thinking, okay, this has to be some form of a flashback in a way. Which, it is a bit of a change, but honestly, even with the change, it's like the impact on Polpo's suicide is still really great, especially with how they handled it. But anyway, it's like, even with the slight changes, like, I think with all these considered, I still think the way they handle Polpo's suicide on, like, the manga, they just handle it as, like, a flashback.
Okay. Yeah, well, speaking of the suicide, so one of the things that I know, when you and I were watching this, we were really like, okay, how's David Production going to actually handle the suicide? Because in the manga, and I hope to God YouTube does not fuck with this video just by showing the fucking manga panel here. But in the manga, you actually see, like, the trigger being pulled, and you see, like, Polpo's brains literally splattering against the wall. Black Sabbath is behind him, like, shattering into pieces or disintegrating or something. So it's supposed to also show that, okay, with Polpo went Black Sabbath, and with Black Sabbath went another arrow. But you actually see, like, the force of the shot. And this is where, Ryan, you and I are wondering, how's David Production going to handle this? Is this just going to be, like, black covering the screen or something? Because it's like, how gruesome are they going to get with it? And the way they handled it, it was literally kind of like a blink and you'll miss it. But it happened so fast that, honestly, it's like, right, I think you actually pointed this out. It looks like it technically didn't get censored, but because it happened so fast, there really was no need to put, like, a shadow or something to actually censor, the blood splattering or anything. It just happened so goddamn quick. It's like, blink and you'll miss it. Like, the next thing you see is just, oh, the shit, there's blood on the wall.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like, I saw nothing of that throughout that entire sequence of Polpo ending it. Because, because okay, think of it this way: if you've seen Stardust Crusaders, and okay, let me think of a good example. Okay, here's a very obscure one. When they're trying to censor Jotaro smoking a cigarette when he's facing off against Darby, okay?
Yeah.
When you see Popo ending his life by pulling his banana gun, you see none of that. They were able to slip through that by genius editing. But yes, split second cuts or whatever. When he pulls a trigger, blasts his brains out, and we see Popo like collapsing face first because they blew his brains out.
Yeah, that's where I was like, man, kudos to you guys, David Production. You actually handled that. You actually managed to handle that one really well without, oversimplifying censorship. At least, it's like, I suppose maybe you can make the argument that the fast editing is the censorship, but you know what? I'll take that over having like a black shadow like obscuring part of the screen.
Oh yes, I strongly agree. It's like, yeah, when you're using a black shadow, like when Jotaro's smoking a cigarette when he's facing off against Darby, or when you have like the beginning fight against Iggy and Pet Shop, and Pet Shop is like devouring like the dog corpses or whatever. It's like, when you see the black shadow on there, it's like, okay, guys, you are making it insanely obvious that you're using censorship. It's like, oh, okay, it just ruins it in a way. I'm sorry. It's like, yeah, I'll just wait till I get the Blu-ray release to see the uncensored shit. Thank you very much. But no, in this case, it's like, with quick editing like that, it's like, yeah, that's another alternative sign of censorship. But goddamn, when it came to Popo like shooting himself through the mouth or whatever with a banana gun, the impact and even the sounds or whatever, it just still works so goddamn well that I'm just like, oh shit, this just happened. Oh my god.
Yes. So that's where I was like, I gotta love it.
It still came off so gruesome just watching it and thinking about it right now. It's like, that's just how well this kind of censorship works in this case.
Yeah. Alrighty. So then, as Ryan mentioned earlier on, so pretty much the episode ends with Bruno bringing Giorno to meet up with the gang, and literally the last shot we see is of the 4 remaining boys.
Oh god! There they are!
Yes!
There they are, them saucy Italian boys! Aww!
So, come next week, we're getting their official introduction. It's like, oh boy. That's gonna be fun. But
oh yes. It's like, alright, look, if you've heard the voices of like Narancia, Fugo, Mista, and Abacho in the teasers was not enough, it's like, hey, listen, I guarantee you, we're gonna be hearing more of their voice performances come next episode. Like, no doubt.
Yeah, easily. So, but before we speculate about, just how much are we going to see in the next episode, there's still like a couple other things in this episode that, we got to bring up. First and foremost, Ryan, I know you were looking forward to this. The first of the Muda Rapid Punches.
Oh my god, yes. Okay.
Yeah, because you were waiting for the first Muda beatdown.
I was. It's like, cause, okay, like I stated before, see, okay, obviously, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is, like, really strong in the action genre, and honestly, when I'm trying to get, in regards to JoJo, when I want to get into, like a JoJo part or anything, in regards to, like, the stands or whatever, it's the battle cries. So it's like, that's another reason why I would, like, revisit, like, previous scenes with, like, a Star Platinum and Jotaro in Stardust Crusaders. Because just listening to the battle cries, it's like, oh man, it's just so great to listen to.
Just Steely Dan, enough said.
Yeah, exactly. That's like the best example in that case. Yeah, when Star Platinum is beating the living shit out of Steely Dan. So now it's like, okay, obviously there's gonna be something like this, in regards to Giorno Giovanna and Gold Experience, because we've already got like some obvious hints from it just from playing the games like Eyes of Heaven and All-Star Battle. But now I'm thinking, how is it gonna play out in the official anime of Golden Wind? Because it's like I already got a good hint of like the voice performance of the Japanese voice actor voicing Giorno just by yelling out Muda. But doing rapid Mudas, that's what I was really curious about. That is the one where it's like, okay, either you got me, or I'm like, okay, I'll watch it, but I am not going to get into it as much as I want to. But sure enough, it's like, okay, first, they tease me. This fight teased me. They show a little bit of rapid Mudas for maybe like a second or two. And I'm like, no, I want to hear more of that. But now it's...
I think the first time around, I know what you're talking about. It's like towards the beginning of this episode. It's like, I think he says Muda like 3 times, like really quick, like you're like, no, Muda, Muda, Muda. But then it's like, you get a clear one at the end of the fight. I'm loving this, and I'm loving like the Cowboy Bebop music. I fucking love it.
Yes! 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 Thank you for Rapid Mudas. That sounded amazing. Yes, again, that's what I'm saying. Where it's like this episode, this fight, it teases me because we see like a second or two of like Rapid Mudas. And then it stops. I'm like, oh wait, no. I liked where this was going. I liked how it sounded. I want to hear more of this so I can really hear how this battle cry sounds. And yeah, just like what you said, Danny, they ended off with like a bit of a longer rapid Muda beatdown, and it's like, holy crap, I am loving how he handled the voice performance of that battle cry. That was done beautifully. So now it's like, I know it's gonna be a while before we get to that part, but it's like, whenever that moment finally comes, and we get to like the longest beatdown in JoJo history, I just can't wait. We're like 4 episodes in. I already can't wait until we get that long-ass beatdown. Because just with that little voice performance alone in the Black Sabbath fight, it is going to be legendary. I just know it. I just know it.
Yeah, that's why it's like, yeah, Giorno, you're definitely making Papa proud.
Oh my god, yes. I strongly approve. I am stoked. I am literally fucking stoked right now.
Yeah. Actually, now that you bring up like not only just like Giorno's voice performance for the Muda and everything, it's like just Giorno in general. Don't get me wrong. I've been enjoying the voice performance and everything up until now, but really, I think like this fight, like, okay. A big thing that I've noticed that, where people get really divided about Giorno from reading the manga is you've got some people that really think he's cool, and you've got some people that think he's just, he's just so goddamn boring and dull, barely emotes or whatever. And I gotta say, this anime has been doing a really damn good job to actually give Giorno, that's like, if you've been saying, oh, Giorno doesn't emote, he's boring in the manga, that is not the case in the anime. Because even like when Koichi shows up and everything, like if you actually listen to Giorno, he's actually like screaming at like Koichi, like in fear and everything, like saying, get out of here, you're gonna be under attack and everything. Like you can tell he genuinely sounds scared for Koichi. So that's where it's like, I was like, oh wow, that was really cool. Cause like, again, up until this point, like we've heard him serious, we've heard him aloof, and it's like we've heard him get a little pissed and everything, but this is really like the first time where he actually sounded worried, let alone worried about somebody else. So that's where I was like, God damn, man, good on you, man. So I'm really digging Giorno's voice performance. It's where it's like, I loved Bruno from the beginning, but again, chalk that up to bias. But yeah, Giorno's voice actor is really winning me over right now. Like, I don't think I don't think they could have gotten anybody better. He's easily beaten the game voice actor by miles.
Yeah, really, it's like that's a really good point, like, in regards to certain moments, like, throughout that entire fight, like, even with, like, Koichi first makes an appearance, and all that stuff, it's like, yeah, I took notice of that as well, when it's like, when he's, like, when he's, like, tackling, like, certain lines with, like, certain emotions of him, like, being scared or worried, it's like, oh no, I strongly agree, I could sense, like, the emotion given out, like, during those voice performances when he's trying to warn Koichi about Black Sabbath, or, like, trying to, like, not step into the shadows of, like, the railways or whatever. It's like, and even throughout this entire, like, fight, no less, when, like, even, like, shortly after Koichi makes his appearance or whatever, and teams up with Giorno to take on Black Sabbath, it's like, yeah, it's like, I was again, like you, kind of like what you said earlier, I was already digging into Giorno's voice performance, like, earlier, but hearing him in this episode, it's like, oh no, yeah, he's already winning me over with, like, a very memorable, like, a voice, to give for, like, the main JoJo protagonist.
Yeah. Alrighty. And then, so another thing that, I'm sure you picked this up too, Ryan, and this is another thing I'm real curious about, is this going to be something we're going to be seeing throughout the rest of the series? So, you know, we saw this in Giorno's fight against Bruno, and of course we saw it here. So when Gold Experience actually punches them, you know how it has that effect where, you know, when he punches them with life and everything, you know, when he punches somebody, he's imbuing life into them, and that's what, you know, slows their senses. And you notice how they do, like, a weird effect or something. Like, you ever, like, go in, like, Photoshop and you play around with, like, what is it, like, the levels or the chroma or whatever? I don't know. I don't remember what it's called exactly. You know, maybe somebody watching knows what the fuck I'm talking about. But they give that really weird effect where it's, like, super bright, but, like, you know, even, like, the characters' outlines, they look, like, really, like, warped and everything. Like, you can actually see, like, kind of like, you know, like the red, green, and blue, like, start to, like, split apart and everything. Like, that kind of an effect. You know, they did that during the Bruno fight. They did it again here with the Black Sabbath fight. So I'm curious if this is going to be our indicator for that's exactly what's happening, because the thing with the manga, that side effect that of, you know, when Gold Experience punches something, it imbues life and dulls their senses. Pretty much after this point, it's like a Rocky completely forgot that Gold Experience could do that. So I'm real curious, is, you know, is that going to be something that we'll be seeing in the anime adaptation? Is David Production going to have it so now that, like, you know, like, yeah, when Giorno goes up against, like, his next solo fight, which, if I recall, is Babyface, I believe, where he's actually, like, physically punching something with Gold Experience. I think it's Babyface, and that's a ways away. That's a long ways away. But
right.
Yeah, but that's what I'm curious is, okay, if we get up to the Babyface fight and Gold Experience punches Babyface, can we expect to see this effect? Because if we do, then that's our indication that, okay, they are remembering that Gold Experience can do this. Because the manga sure as hell forgot.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, so
it's like,
yeah, so,
I don't know. It's really hard to say. I mean, it's like, if they're somehow able to fit like segments like throughout certain like stand battle fights featuring a gold experience, where yeah, like every time gold experience, punches like his opponent, and it gives their opponent like so much power to the point where their like senses like go completely insane, and they just lose, and they think they're flowing with power, and they just like lose sight of everything or whatever. It's like if they're able to implement segments like that in like future battles, like in the anime, I mean that'd be great. But it's like, I don't know. As much as I want to see that, I don't know if they will be, if even David Productions will forget to implement segments like that in the anime, or they'll just intentionally, not worry about adding stuff like that anymore, like for time's sake.
Yeah, because that's where it's like, because again, like in the manga, like when you see Giorno going up against like Babyface and like, some of these other stand battles that he has later on, it just looks like they're just regular beatdowns. There's no indication whatsoever that, okay, their senses are getting fucked up or anything. Like, you don't see that. Like the enemies themselves appear like, nothing's happened to them. They've just gotten, they just got rapid punched. So, and it's like, it's just one of those things where I was like, well, wait a minute. If Gold Experience could have done that, like, and it had done that from the beginning, why hasn't Giorno taken advantage of that throughout the rest of the goddamn part? And I'm aware that, Araki tends to forget details as he's writing, and I guess we can just chalk that up as one of them. But it's like, that's just one of the things where I'm just curious about is, is David Production going to just follow the manga and just be like, okay, no, screw the whole, giving life, fucking up your senses thing. It's just going to be regular beatdown. Or are they going to actually indicate that, yes, this is indeed happening because they've given a visual indicator that that is what is happening? But,
yeah, it's like, it's like, again, that would be a very nice attempt.
Yeah, but we gotta wait for that because, like I said, pretty much after this fight, I mean, don't get me wrong, Giorno's is involved in other fights, but now that we're getting up to where all the other characters are starting to come in, it, pretty much like, it's gonna be a while before we get like a solo Giorno fight. Like the next couple of fights he's gonna be with Mista, or he's gonna be with Fugo and Abaccio. Like he's gonna be with other people. It's a while before we get another Giorno solo fight.
But yeah, it's like when you really think about it, it's like it would make sense if like okay, we've obviously seen like David Productions like already added like a crap load of exclusive content with the anime adaptation as opposed to the manga, within these 4 episodes that we've seen thus far. So it was like again, I would not be surprised if like David Productions actually does add segments like that where like Gold Experience like messes with his opponent's senses just from punching them alone, just to remind everybody, hey, Gold Experience could do this. Oh god damn it, I lost my train of thought. Sorry, edit.
That's god, okay. Damn it.
Oh god. Oh, okay. I remember. All right. So, but yeah, it's like when you really get down to it, it's like yeah, if like kind of like how it was with the manga, it's like if they don't implement that ability with Gold Experience in the anime and just pretty much stay true to the manga and just keep it with like just simple beatdowns, it's like, well, okay, while it's like, okay, obviously, like, as I said before, considering how much I love how the voice actor for Giorno is, like, handling the rapid Mudads, like, beautifully already, just from episode 4 alone, it's like, if you take that ability away from him, then it's like, oh, okay, you're pretty much getting another Star Platinum. He's just there for the beatdowns with nothing else. But if David Productions were to actually help if they were able to like maintain that ability, just like how it was when Gold Experience was handling like the fight with Superman, when Giorno and Bruno first met up, then it's like, Yeah, honestly, it's like not only just from like a manga or like an anime standpoint, but just from a standpoint or whatever. That will pretty much show that it's like, yeah, well, Gold Experience and Star Platinum have like the similarities. It's like if David Productions were to implement that, it would further show that it's like, okay, Gold Experience is like has their many different, or dare I say more, quote unquote, overpowered abilities compared to Star Platinum. Basically, it's giving Gold Experience its own entity, as opposed to just being yet another close combat stand that just rolls out the punches and, all of that good stuff.
Right. Okay. So, I think with that said, that pretty much covers things for this episode. So, might as well, let's make predictions. How far are we gonna get in the next episode? Because I like making these kinds of predictions.
Oh man, well it's like, at this point, it's like my memory of the manga is being like, just a little bit fuzzy.
Okay, yeah. Spoiler timestamp here. Okay, so pretty much in the manga, we get the introduction to the rest of the boys, and pretty much everybody remembers that introduction for one reason, and one reason only, and it's all thanks to Abbacchio, so we'll be getting that next week, for sure. Oh my god, that's gonna be crazy. But the next fight after this, Ryan, if you remember, the next fight is Soft Machine. This is when they're on the boat and they're trying to get to Capri to find Pulpo's hidden treasure.
Okay, that's what I thought. It's like I was saying earlier, it's like my what was it? My memory of the manga was being a little bit fuzzy after this point. But okay, that's what I was figuring was gonna happen. It's like, okay, we get the introduction of the Italian boys first, and then eventually, yeah, we get to the fight that takes place on the ship.
Right. Now, this is, I guess, just very wishful thinking on my end. I mean, I'm not expecting it to happen, but at the same time, I really wish it will. You want to talk about a perfect opportunity to pull in some Purple Haze feedback action? This is it! Because, okay, so for those of you who have no idea what the hell I'm talking about, Purple Haze Feedback was a light novel that was written not by Araki, but by another guy. I believe his name's Kohei Gadono. He's the same guy that wrote Boogie Pop Phantom. So he wrote a light novel, and it's a sequel to Part 5. And it focuses primarily on the character Panacotta Fugo. I'm not going to go into too much detail about it because it is a sequel, so I can't really get into it without spoiling some super major shit that happens. I mean, I know we're spoiling some things, but I don't want to spoil everything. But in Purple Haze Feedbacks, like sprinkled throughout this novel, they also include some extra, like, little flashbacks. Like, just some extra scenes of, like, of the boys interacting, but it's, primarily told through Fugo's perspective. There is a scene, like, pretty early on, if I recall correctly. There is a scene in the novel where they're about to board the boat. And, Naranci's really excited and everything. He's like, oh my god, Bucciolati owns this boat! This is awesome! And, Abbacchio is basically talking to Fugo saying, dude, keep your eye on Giorno. I don't trust him. We have no idea what this kid's capable of. We don't even know why Bucciolati insisted on bringing him along. So you get all of that. So Narancia actually goes up to them and says, hey guys, let's take a picture before we set sail. So Narancia gives Giorno a camera, and Giorno takes a picture of Bruno, Abbacchio, Fugo, Missa, and Narancia before they're about to board the boat. This actually does play into Purple Haze Feedback, but it's such a cute little scene, and part of me really wishes that they'll actually animate that scene. Where it's like, okay, you want to transition, like, because again, in the manga, you meet the boys, And then literally the next chapter, they're on the goddamn boat. There's literally no transition. So where I'm just wondering is how they're going to handle this with the anime, because the whole introduction to the boys should not take very long. It was one chapter. So that should not take up, like, you know, the entirety of the first half of the episode. So that's where I'm just wondering, like, you know, okay, we introduce the guys, you know, we get the brief little introduction of, Mario Zucchero. He's the guy that owns the Stand Soft Machine, and then they're on the boat. I'm just really wishing, or I guess maybe I can just dream, that, like, you want to pad out for more timing and to, like, make it flow a little bit better with the transition, just animate that scene from the book. But then again, I think I'm just desperate because I really loved Purple Haze Feedback, and I would love to see Purple Haze Feedback get some anime love.
You know, that being said, though, while you were talking about the Purple Haze Feedback, it kind of makes me wonder, do you remember, like, sometime after they aired Part 4 where they did those, like, OVA episodes featuring Rohan?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, okay, like you said, I know Purple Haze Feedback was not technically written by Araki himself, but wouldn't it actually be some shit if sometime after they finished airing the entirety of Golden Wind, that David Productions decided to go ahead, pull off the Rohan OVA in Part 4 and be like, you know what? Why don't we just go ahead and make an OVA of Golden Wind featuring all of Purple Haze Feedback?
That would be cool, but, you know, Purple Haze Feedback, if they did do OVAs, it takes several of them. And it's like, it's just one of those things, like, honestly, it's like, if it were me, I would say leave the OVAs specifically for Rohan, because those OVAs, those are like little short stories that Araki had written throughout, like, the years, and I think there's like 10 of them or something, and right now they've only animated 2. So it looks like maybe every year we can expect, like, another one of, like, Rohan's little side stories to be animated, which is all cool and everything. I would personally like to leave the OVAs specifically for Rohan, and it's like, you know what? Fuck it. Make Purple Haze Feedback a movie.
Oh goddamn! That also would be really cool to see. Like, make it the entirety of Purple Haze Feedback into a movie. That would also be really cool.
I would love to see that, but, you know, again, I'm not expecting it to happen, but it is something I would love to happen, but realistically speaking, it's probably not.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, if Purple Haze Feedback was written by Araki, then this would be a completely different story, but seeing as how this was written by somebody else, yeah, it's like, as cool as it might seem, yeah, I agree, it's highly unlikely that a David Production would actually take the entirety of Purple Feedback into consideration and give it some anime love and all of that stuff.
Yeah. Alrighty. But regardless, so I think pretty much next week, so we can expect, you know, the boys' introduction, and then the beginning of the Soft Machine fight. Now, I guess, okay, so I know we predicted, Black Sabbath's name change and we were both wrong. Let's try and predict what the hell what are they gonna change Soft Machine into?
Well, okay. Soft Machine. Okay, sorry. I'm trying to think of a name as I'm like, you know, okay. Trying to think of some alternative words for soft and machine.
I'm just hoping that they'll end up, like, they'll just change one word, like what they did with Black Sabbath, and they don't go literal. Like, I'll take something like soft, like, robot, or like soft automaton or something over. Yeah,
I was actually about to say, like, soft robot or something like that.
I'll take that over, you know, let's, like, call him literal or something. Like, let's call him, like, you know, Balloon Man or some shit. It's like, please no, don't do that to me. It's like, Bruno and Naranj have already got it bad, please.
Okay, seriously, if they actually do call him Balloon Man by an off chance, I am going to laugh my ass off.
That's like a fucking Mega Man villain. That's like, come on.
Oh my god, it does.
I know, it's
How
like,
come
yeah,
we
like
haven't thought of
Zipperman's
a
a fucking Mega Man
Robot Master
villain.
like
That's what
that
it
from Mega
sounds
Man
like.
11? I mean, come on.
I know. It's like Zipperman already sounds like a fucking Mega Man villain.
Oh my god, yeah. But it's like, I don't know. It's like freaking, yeah, I don't know. It's like, because of the fact I can't think of a more creative, non-copyrighted name for him. It's like, I don't know. It's like, fuck it. I'm thinking Smooth Robot or something.
Smooth Robot. Okay.
I
right.
guess I don't know.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, like I said, yeah, hey, we're just having funsies. So it's like,
Yeah,
you know.
right.
Yep, so I guess next week we'll find out what in the fuck they're gonna call Soft Machine. And you know what? Just for funsies as well, for those of you who have never heard of Soft Machine, because Soft Machine is a band name, I'll throw maybe like a quick 15-second clip of like a random Soft Machine song. There you go. Now you know what Soft Machine sounds like, so look forward to seeing that next week. Or at least like the beginnings of that actual fight. All right. So,
right.
Yeah. So I'm trying to think, is there anything else that we can bring up, Ryan, or you think we're good?
Honestly, I think we're good.
Alrighty then. So thank you for joining us, everybody, for this week's Golden Wind Geek Out, and we'll see you all next week with episode 5.
Alright, to be continued with more Golden Wind experiences. Wait.
You totally fucked that up.
I totally did. It sounded a lot better in my head, but it didn't work. Anyway, okay, see you guys next week.